Welcome to Freedom Cast, where your hosts, Jordan and Miranda, show you how to get just a little bit more out of life. Are you ready to leave normal behind?
Howdy, Freedom Casters. This week on Freedom Cast, we are welcoming Amy Skinner on our show. She's a longtime friend of Miranda's and also mine as well since college. She works for Google. She loves Pittsburgh, and we're going to talk to her about those things. I know you're going to like this one. Sit down, grab a cup of coffee, listen to this episode, and I know you will enjoy it. All right, Amy, thank you so much for coming on our show. Me and Miranda are super excited to have you on Freedom Cast. We thank you for giving up time on your Wednesday night. We're recording this. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for jumping on with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Super happy to be here.
Yeah, so Amy and I went to college together way back when.
So many years
like 25 years ago.
It feels
approximately, yeah.
It feels like a lifetime ago. So, but we have not really kept in touch the last couple years super well. So I'm just super excited that you're on and we can catch up and you can tell everyone about your awesome story. So if you wanted to just introduce yourself a little bit to our listeners, that would be great.
Sure. So my name is Amy. I'm currently living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I work for Google doing digital marketing / operations / sales for their Google shopping. And went to Messiah College with Miranda. And yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What else do you want to hear about me?
Well, I was hoping you just go into like a 30-minute life story.
Sure, so I was born on a very cold day in December.
Yeah.
Is that far back enough?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Actually perfect.
Okay, great.
So.
Great.
But I wanted you to tell, I know you absolutely love Pittsburgh. Maybe if you could just explain the draw of Pittsburgh and why you think it's just the best place ever.
What?
Try to say like you were trying to convince me to visit because I have actually never been to Pittsburgh
What?
in my life.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I lived in Pennsylvania for 8 years and I never went over to Pittsburgh. Yeah, I was like, I don't need to go over there.
Yeah. Well, Pittsburgh is the greatest place on earth. So that's the first
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. I adore Pittsburgh. One, because it's home. But also, I mean, it's a blue-collar town. So people are kind of hardworking. It's great. I call it a fake city because you can walk from one side of the city to the other. But we have a lot of really good culture. So we have amazing restaurants. We have shows. And most importantly, we have really great Major League Baseball and National League Football.
And football.
And football.
But we can't talk too much about football.
We've already
that's on the not talk about, but that's okay.
List. Maybe next year I could talk about football.
Next year.
There's too much pain right now.
We'll skip that. And hockey, back-to-back champs. So anyway, we have really good sports. We have really good schools, really good hospitals. So you get the real flavor of a real city, but it's small. Everyone knows each other. There's like 3 degrees to everyone. So you meet.
And it's also 3 degrees.
Approximately, yeah. It's super cold outside right now. We have a lot of snow, which is amazing. But yeah, so Pittsburgh, people are just super friendly. They're good people, down to earth. There's not too uppity, which fits really well with my style. So yeah.
And Amy, did you grow up there or did you move there after college?
I grew up about an hour outside of Pittsburgh, towards a ski resort. So like in the mountains, next to nowhere. So yeah.
Like most places in Pennsylvania.
Exactly. So so I grew up about an hour outside of the city. Pittsburgh was always like my city though. So we would drive in for events and, field trips and stuff like that. And then after I graduated, I moved into the city.
Yeah, and I remember in college, we went to draft day
Ooh.
and we went to Heinz
I
Field
forgot
with
about
you.
that. Yeah.
That was my one, I think that was my only Pittsburgh experience.
I was like super jealous of that.
I dressed up Miranda in all Pittsburgh gear. I was like,
yeah,
you must fit in.
Yeah, you really did. You dressed us up, made us look the part. If you gave blood, you got in for free. So that's the one and only time I've ever given blood.
I thought she was gonna pass out. I really thought
it was dicey.
I'm surprised you didn't.
It was touch and go there for a little bit, but she made it through. She powered through. She saved like the $15 to get it.
It wasn't even expensive.
No, that's worth it.
But I remember getting Permani's Brothers afterwards, and that made everything worth it.
Jordan,
for sure.
You had a Permani Brothers sandwich?
No, I have not. Is that like the Pit Burger or the Pittsburgher? Or is that a different thing?
I don't. It was not called the Pittsburgher.
I thought there was like a Pittsburgher
Actually, it is
like
called
burger.
the Pittsburgher, isn't it? But it's a sandwich.
I'm asking you.
I know, right? No, I think it is actually called the Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But
I just remember
but the
someone was talking about it.
It has like 2 slices of really thick bread, and then there's fries and coleslaw on top of like your choice of meat. It is amazing. It's so good. So if no other reason for you to come visit Pittsburgh, you need to eat the sandwich. Google it right now if you can.
Okay.
Attach a picture at the bottom of like the show notes.
I will. I put a picture of it on the show notes. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Encourage tourism in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, totally. You can do.
But we went to was it called the Incline?
Yes.
Is that what it was called? Yeah, I remember that too. So it was definitely a cool place to visit.
So basically everyone listening should visit.
Well, absolutely. Yes. I mean, of course I'm here. Plus,
Amy's there. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's 3 rivers that all meet in the point. And then the incline, there's a mountain basically that overlooks the city. And so the incline was an old method of transportation, just getting up and down the mountain. But now it still works and people take it for fun. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, I looked up a picture. It looks delicious.
Yeah, it's amazing. So good.
And you can't get it anywhere else. That's the thing.
There's a couple places in Florida. There's a couple restaurants.
Are there really?
Yeah, it's like Florida and Pennsylvania.
Well, we're closer to Florida than Pennsylvania.
Road trip, right? Road trip.
It's so random of all the states to go to next.
I think one of the brothers moved down there or something. I don't know.
That makes sense.
I didn't read up on the Permani Brothers history for this. I'm sorry.
You
didn't do your homework. I'm just kidding.
My homework.
I wanted a history of the Permani Brothers.
Should have included that in the notes then.
Yeah. But what's really cool is you actually just went to Korea. So I want to hear about that trip because you just got back a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, I got back on Saturday. It was absolutely amazing. So we had an international student stay with us senior year of high school from South Korea. And I mean, we just became really good friends. And then our families actually became really good friends. So I went and I stayed with her and her family. And they showed me around everywhere. They're born and raised in Seoul. So I got the insider view of Seoul, which was amazing. So, so I was there for about 2 weeks. So just enough time. Awesome. Yeah, just enough time to like adapt to the time change and then leave.
Was it like a business trip or were you just going for vacation or?
This was just vacation. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what brought that on? Like what made you just decide to go?
So this has been 10 years in the making, 10, 11 years.
Ooh.
So,
okay.
So like I said, senior year of high school. So I've wanted to go. We've had, I don't know, like close to 10 international students from Korea.
Okay.
So, just like through the years have like made all of these Korean friends, heard all these stories, and have always wanted to go to see how they grew up. And because, I mean, like I said, I grew up in the middle of nowhere. And so these kids from Seoul, like enormous city of Seoul, came to nowhere, Pennsylvania. Like their faces when they got off, like
Oh, I can imagine.
So when they get
Where
off
are
the
we?
plane, yeah, they get off the plane and they just see Pittsburgh and they're like, okay, well, this is a small little city. Like, that's nice. And then they drive an hour and a half, like from Pittsburgh to nowhere. And they're just like, so what do you do here? And we're like, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, we hang out at each other's houses. We drive 45 minutes to like the movies. So
We go to Walmart.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so like that was just normal for us growing up. But it was so cool to just to see like how they grew up and what the city's like. And oh my goodness, it was overwhelming. It was awesome.
So did you just see the one international student that came to your house, or did you see some of the other ones too?
So unfortunately, most of my friends weren't there. So they live.
They were all
Yeah, they're in the U.S. They're in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Or yeah, we had another kid live with my parents after I left the house, but he was actually serving in the military. So all men have to serve a couple years in the Korean military. Once they, I think it's like 18 or 19, they have to go back and serve for a couple years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was there doing that, and then yeah, everyone else that I knew was kind of, I think, back in the U.S. So no, I didn't get to see anyone else, but it was
still
good.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just cool that you chose to go over there just for, just to see them and just do a vacation. That's a very abnormal thing to do, but that's cool. It's different than just going to a beach for a week, doing the standard American vacation,
Absolutely. Yeah. It was my first Asian country. Well, I don't know. So I was in India a couple of years ago, and I'm not sure if that's actually Asia or not. I think it's like, I don't know. Anyway, this is my first like Asia country to visit.
Okay.
So like non-Western, just like different traditions, different culture.
Yeah.
So it was a really neat experience. That's good.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's something Miranda and I want to do more of too, is travel just to different places and have those new experiences. That's cool. I mean, we definitely want to. I mean, I think we're very scared of thinking about it just because it is like, we know it's going to be like a culture shock. But yeah, it's certainly very intimidating. But I'm sure I'm sure you even feel like a lot of benefits just from, having that experience.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally. I mean, I absolutely love traveling. But I think the reason I love traveling so much is because you see a different perspective of the world. You see how people view things, and especially like the further you travel, the different the perspectives are. So it's really, really cool.
Well, yeah, especially going to Korea and India as well. So those are very different places to go to.
Yeah,
so, for sure.
Yeah, Europe's one thing, but I think those are the
it's a whole other animal out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
it was the city. Would you what was the difference, do you think, comparing, other than just the size, Pittsburgh to Seoul? Is there just kind of the vibe of the city? What was the feel of it?
So very trendy. So fashion is like, everyone is into fashion and beauty. So there's just a lot of like little shops. But yeah, it was just so big. Like everywhere you turn, there were department stores and offices and restaurants and boutiques. And like we have like a couple different like neighborhoods in Pittsburgh, but they're just like 100 different neighborhoods in Seoul,
Wow.
all with a different flavor and different ancient things, right? Like there's an ancient history there, which we don't have in America.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's cool.
It
sounds like a nice place.
It was great. Yeah. Highly recommend it. The food was amazing. I don't know if you've had Korean food, but so good.
Nope. Not recently.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So good. I highly recommend it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd have to step up my fashion game before.
Yeah, I thought I brought like
jeans and a t-shirt wouldn't cut it.
Thankfully, it was like cold out, so I was wearing my jacket most times. But yeah, I was severely underdressed.
Especially comparing like blue collar Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's very different.
It's so different. It's so different. But you know, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you get to kind of expand your knowledge and just learn about different cultures, because we are in such a bubble over here.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
to just like get trapped in one way of thinking.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, I want to talk about Google, because you've worked there for about 4 years now, which is
Mhm.
awesome.
It's
Just kind of,
crazy.
how did you get started at Google, and what has it been like, you know?
Because isn't Google like everyone's like place? Like they just want to work at Google, and like Amy works at Google. So like,
Yeah.
what's about? Tell us about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Too many questions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a funny story how I ended up here. Maybe Miranda knows, but like when I graduated college, my goal was like to work for a nonprofit. And so I was like,
Google is definitely a nonprofit. No, just kidding.
yeah, I was like, I want to work for a small nonprofit,
Yeah, small, little.
small mission-based nonprofit. So like this was like my
Awesome.
goal. I was like, this is, like I'm not really concerned with like status or anything. So obviously when you graduate, you have no experience and it's really hard to get a job. So you take whatever you can.
Anything.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Yeah, so I ended up working in the marketing department of a startup tech company. And then I did that for a couple of years, and then they actually went out of business. So met some really great people there and got some really good experience. But yeah, I was looking for a job. So again, I was like applying to nonprofits and small organizations. And I had my resume posted and someone contacted me and they're like, yeah, so do you want to interview at Google? And I was like, what? No.
What?
I was like, no, thank you. And then all my friends were like, you're stupid, take this interview. And that was actually just a 1-year contract. So I went in like, I'll get 1 year, put Google on my resume, and then do this whole process again, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Small nonprofit. So then it was a year, and then like it became a year and a half, and then they were like, we want to convert you, we want to bring you on full time, and I was like, what do I do? And so at that point, I had really learned to love what I was doing and made some really good like connections. And I absolutely dread and hate job searching. So,
don't we all?
Yeah, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Worst.
And like there is a reason why everyone wants to work at Google, because it's an amazing place. So, so I took a position and have been there ever since. So, it's kind of an unconventional story of how I got there, but it's been a wild ride, but it's been really, really good.
Yeah, because I feel like most people make it their goal to get to Google, and that's their that's the end game, and you're just like, no, I'm going a different
I just
path.
love that you're like, you want to interview with us? You're like, nah.
Accidental. No, I sometimes like I think about it, and I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to even go for the interview. And they're like, no, just go for the interview at least. Like if they don't they don't hire you, that's another thing. So looking back on it, really good decisions, just go for it. And like, it's been amazing. They are definitely one of the best employers to work for. And I've been able to have some really awesome experiences, which is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, Amy. So what exactly do you do with them? Is it marketing stuff?
Sort of. Yeah. So,
I know marketing is like such a big umbrella term.
yeah,
but...
right. So it is, so I work for Google Shopping, which if you Google a product, there are little ads that pop up that are pictures. And
I was just looking through those last night for some shoes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what
I'm not kidding. I was.
We definitely didn't plan those for sure.
Yeah, no.
No, yeah. So that's what I help manage. So I work with some of the largest retailers, U.S. retailers, and I help make sure that they're being profitable. So make sure that they're hitting their business goals, they're spending their budget, any sort of other like KPIs that they have, like make sure that we as Google are supporting them. So that's what I do. So it's a little bit of sales, a little bit of optimization, like tech support. It's kind of a hybrid role, but it's good. It's kept me busy and learned a lot of skills that I didn't have before. So it's been good.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
What do you think is like the biggest thing that sets them apart from, other companies? You say they're one of the best companies to work for. Like, what is it for you? Is it just their ability to make the role hybrid? I think that like in itself sounds like an awesome deal. I think a lot of places don't do that, but maybe you just want to talk about that a little bit.
There's so many reasons why they're the best, and you can actually see like a lot of companies like adapting their work environment to like copy Google's. But for me, there's a couple reasons why I just think it's great. One, they do a lot of like encouraging of like volunteering and giving back, and they do gift matches. So any money that you donate, they'll match up to a certain dollar amount. You have so many hours a year to volunteer, like work hours to volunteer.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome. That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then like they offer these opportunities for you to like dedicate a portion of your time to other teams to learn new skills, to just like see how other parts of the business work. So they just like really care about you as a person and make sure that you are happy, fulfilled, you're not working too late. That you have every training opportunity available. So I really I can't complain at all. Obviously, like human nature, you start complaining and then you just kind of
there's always
you can
always
you
find
wake
something.
yourself up and you're like, I have a barista that will make me coffee, like please stop complaining. So
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I feel like a spoiled little kid when I talk about this stuff. But no, they feed us like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, that's so cool.
They have a barista, coffee, snacks. We have a hammock in our office that you can just chill, massage chairs. There's a place you can go get your hair cut.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah. So they do everything to make sure that like you are primed for working.
It's just so cool.
Yeah.
Because I feel like other employers go the other route. They're like, we're going to make you as uncomfortable as possible so we get the most work out of you. You won't be distracted by the coffee bar. Like,
I think they've realized that's not actually effective. So
I love that. I love that they're changing that perspective because that's a good way to go. It's not all about like sitting down and focusing as much as you possibly can. It's about so much more than that, Yeah. That's cool if they have that mindset.
And so you end up working late hours, you end up doing a lot. But like you don't feel overworked because you can take breaks and do it when you're motivated, and you can work from home if you have to and all that good stuff. So
yeah, because nobody's focused for 8 hours a day.
Oh, no.
It's just not even possible. So, might as well take a break, get your hair cut.
Yeah, there's a lot of Nerf gun wars that happen.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's just amazing. That's definitely the better way to go, because then employees will be loyal to the company. Employees want to work harder because they're getting all these benefits. It's just a positive environment instead of just a negative environment where you can't win.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do well, do your job, do it well. And then have fun in the meantime. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, they definitely spend, I don't know if you've heard, but like the Google interview process is like notoriously awful. And they do that so that they hire really good people. And that way they can shift those people around to different jobs. And like you just have a really good workforce. So you can treat them like adults and they'll get their jobs done and have fun in the meantime. So
yep.
They hired Amy Skinner.
They're doing well.
The best in the biz.
Too funny.
So you mentioned you went to India before. What other traveling have you done in the past couple of years? And where maybe some places you kind of want to go?
Oh, this is like the best question.
Just everywhere.
Yeah, so it actually is everywhere. Yeah, so I was sent actually to India for work a couple years ago. And then I presented at a conference in Munich, Germany earlier this year.
Wow.
Cool.
So yeah, so I got to do that. And then I took a week of vacation and traveled around Germany. So that was really, really cool. I've been to a lot of places in Europe and the UK, but there are so many more places that I want to go. So I studied in Greece in college. So that's like one of the places where I want to get back to. So that's like, hopefully in the next couple of years, I'll get to go back to Greece at some point.
You brought me back a bracelet from Greece. I remember that.
Nice.
With the eye. Yeah.
You guys wrote me a song when I was in Greece. Do you remember that?
I had forgotten.
That sounds like something Miranda would do.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You never forget when someone writes you a song. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you'll
so
have to
good.
find that. I'll post
so
it.
good.
We were really
We'll
good,
put in the
good
links.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find it, I'll post it.
I'm sure it's on Facebook somewhere.
That's in like the deep depths of
Oh, that's
I'm sure we can find it.
yeah. That's like a late night scrolling through hours of Facebook. Yeah, one of those.
That's funny.
But yeah. So I have a really good friend who, her and her husband, they're actually in the U.S. now, but they're missionaries in Jordan. And so I'm hoping at some point when they go back, they're going to do another 4-year stint. So I'm hoping to go back and visit them in Jordan, which is another different, unique experience to see how that world kind of lives, like that Middle East culture, which is just another culture. But yeah, so then I just want to go everywhere. Iceland is up on the list.
See, we
that's
want to
up
go
on
to
our
Iceland
list too.
Let's go together.
Yeah, well, it wasn't on my list until they started flying direct from Pittsburgh to Iceland, and I was like, well, then now I have to go. Like,
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we can drive to Pittsburgh. I can see it for the first time.
Yeah, and then we'll hop on a plane and go to.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect.
I've been brushing up on some Icelandic too.
Oh yeah, I hear
Miranda
it's
has been
really-
trying to learn. How do
It's
you
really
say?
easy.
How do you say please?
Vinsamlegast.
Yeah, very good.
And thank you is tack fyr.
Talk for you. Well, that's all you need. That's all you really need.
Yeah, get it close. And they maybe will like, okay.
I'm pretty
They were
fluent.
Pretty much fluent.
I can tell. I've been brushing up on my Korean, so that's been
Nice.
my my language. Yeah, I still don't know much.
That's okay. I don't either.
Thank you. I don't know any Icelandic, so you win. You win there.
It's such a random language. It really
It
is.
It really is. It's good though.
I've totally lost where we were.
You're good.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, what hurdles have you had to overcome in your life, whether it be earlier on or more recently, and just kind of how do you work through those times that are super tough?
Like being Miranda's roommate for a year.
Yeah, right?
That was a dark time.
Let me
Or
tell
half a
you.
year, right? Was it only half a year?
How long was it? It was only half.
Didn't you graduate
A
early?
year? Yeah, I did graduate
It was
early.
half a year. then.
Yeah, it was just half. That's sad.
Ooh, that's rough.
But we've been friends since freshman
Freshman.
year, so
We're
it's
on
like,
the same floor.
There you go.
yeah,
Best friends.
yeah. I feel like we were, not quite roommates all those 4 years, but very close, all mates. Anyway, this is such a loaded question. Like, I don't even know how to answer this.
Mwah.
Yeah, right. But like
Good one,
every day,
Miranda.
stumped me.
Maybe just
No,
one
it's-
thing.
Yeah, no, it's like every day has its own challenges. But like one of the biggest challenges actually was starting this job. It was so out of my comfort zone. So what I was doing, so I was a communication major. So this is like writing, presenting, And then at my last job, I was like the creative team lead. So I was doing content writing, like email design, website design, like very creative, free flowing stuff. And this is like a complete 180 to the other side of marketing, where it is Excel sheets, it's data, it's forecasting, it's like numbers and business. And I was like, I am gonna fail at this. And so I went home and I studied like I was in college. Like I went home and I studied for this job because I was like, this is like so unnatural for me. And so like it was completely overwhelming. But I stuck with it. I worked hard. I asked a lot of questions, and now, I mean, I look back and I was like, I never would have seen myself in this position in this job, like in a million years. But I've learned to love it, and like honestly, it's a skill now that I have, and it's been worth the struggle and worth the challenge to like stick with it. So that was a big challenge that I've faced. But then like every day, like I said, this was nowhere near where I thought I wanted to be and like the field that I wanted to be. So just like the challenge of trusting that this is where God wants me and that I'm doing the right thing and all of that. So that's almost like not a daily struggle, but making sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be and doing the things that I need to be while I'm here in this position. So
I think that's a cool perspective, Amy. Miranda and I talk about that. We talk about that all the time. We're like,
probably too much.
we want to enjoy what we do, but we want to be doing what God wants us to do because that's the most important. Yeah. But we talked about this. It made me think of it. We talked about this on a couple podcasts ago. I don't remember who it was, but they were saying like, no one ever really knows what they're doing, especially like when you start out. And it's so true. And I've been thinking about that just with like my stuff recently. And, you get hired for for a job, you may have interviewed like awesome, but for the most part, like you're going to get into that job, be like, well, I got to figure this out now, because you can't know it right away. So that's cool. But yeah, it's something I've been thinking about, more recently. And I think it's a good perspective. We don't have to know everything going in, but it is a hurdle. And that's really cool that you took to it and we're like, hey, I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to research about it and I'm going to learn it. I think there are people out there that may have not, jumped to that level. And, certainly there's good employees and bad employees, but that's really awesome that you were able to jump to that level and say, hey, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to get really good at this.
Mm-hmm. Put the work in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like just approach challenges, and take them head on. I think that's the only way to really do it, because running away means, you might be missing out on something.
Yeah.
So Amy, what's the future looking like for you? You looking that you want to stay with Google for a while, or do you have some other goals maybe for your future? I know you said you wanted to travel more, but if you want to talk about some future goals, just in general.
Yeah. So I am currently taking classes for my master's.
Wow.
So
awesome! Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know if that's a congratulations, but
well, good for you. How about that?
Yeah, right.
Congratulations when you finish.
Thank you. No, it's good. It's good. It's been something I've been thinking about for a while. Another perk for Google is they'll reimburse me for a lot of it. So trying to take advantage of that. So I'm studying master's in marketing. So I am working towards that in hopes that maybe once I finish, I can look and pursue my dream of, working for a nonprofit or a mission-based organization in some way. I have no plans of leaving Google, anytime soon. It's been great. So just trying to figure out what the next steps are. So we'll see once I complete my degree. We'll see if anything pops up, and just stay in prayer and see what's going on. So there's that, and then so travel. I mean, I just got back, so it's been. I don't know if you can hear my. I was just going to say, I don't know if you can hear her. She's like, it is time
It's
for
cute.
a walk.
It's all good.
cute.
Yeah. She's like, hey.
Wrap this
She
up.
She gets jealous when I start talking, and she like it's not to her. But but yeah, so travel, I have no idea what is next on. I mean, I have some like work travel coming up, but fun vacation travel, I have no idea. It'll come out soon, probably. Yeah, probably later in the year I'll figure it out. But
Awesome.
I know, right?
So, can you give a piece of advice to our listeners, whether it be about work or travel or whatever, anything in general? What's some advice you can give?
Step outside of your comfort zone. I think that's the best advice that I can give, is whether that's taking on a project that's uncomfortable or hard, or going somewhere new that doesn't feel like home. I think that you learn a ton when you kind of step out and take risks and challenges. I think that's the best advice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for talking to us.
No problem.
I love hearing about what you're doing, and you definitely have a lot of really cool experiences, and I'm glad you could share them.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun.
No problem, Amy. Thank you for being on. All right. Thank you to Amy for being on our show. Thank you, Freedom Cast listener, for listening all the way to the end. Please go to my website. If you were listening to it on there, that's great. But if not, please go there and leave us a comment on the podcast blog post. We definitely appreciate that. We just thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to send them our way. Otherwise, we hope you stay frosty and have a great rest of your Friday.